Halloween mask. What are you gonna do now?
Halloween Ends is now 3 years old, and I gotta say, I only like it more now. The horror community's initial reaction to this was pretty abysmal, and I gotta say, I think you owe this movie an apology.
Just burn it all to the ground.
I like the match.
The first thing we're gonna do is take a look at some of the valid criticisms of Halloween Ends. Now, from my experience in the horror community online, there are going to be 5 big takes with this movie. 5 things people always mention when talking about why they don't like this movie. The first one, and I think is maybe the most valid reason not to like this movie, is that it doesn't fit in with this trilogy. The trilogy that was done here makes absolutely no sense with the context of this movie. I have no problem admitting that. Is it something I personally care about? Not really. I think it was basically shock for a lot of people that the story had so much Corey Cunningham instead of Michael Myers. And that's what I mean with this end of trilogy shock that I'm talking about with all of this. People were pissed off. They wanted one final battle between Laurie and Michael. And to me, I'm sorry to say this, but I've always been much more of a Freddy fan. Which brings me to the next point, Corey Cunningham himself. This is kind of tied in with the first one, but the plot heavily revolves around Corey more than Michael Myers. I personally love it. Now, this is coming from a guy whose favorite Halloween movie is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. But with Corey, they finally did something that they've hinted at in lots of horror movies, where they have a character who gets traumatized by some sort of event and gets kind of usually just hinted at that they're also going to turn out to be a killer. Friday the 13th did it. Halloween has done it before. This time, they just pulled the trigger. So these first 2 are mainly from people who I think at least liked Halloween 2018 and maybe thought Kills was okay. I'm not here to talk about my opinions on those, but I think some people just hate all 3 of these movies. I mean, I guess that's valid, right? For me personally, I hate both Rob Zombie movies. I don't own them, and the only way I will is if they come in a box set. And they do come in the box set that I plan to buy, so. The fourth common criticism is that it is a Christine ripoff, or it features too much of the Christine plot. For me, I'm a big fan of Christine, so that's not a turnoff for me. And I know that that's not a critique from people who don't like Christine, but it's kind of an ode to John Carpenter. This movie has references to Halloween movies, obviously, but also just John Carpenter in general. They're watching The Thing on TV. It's obviously heavily inspired by Christine. At least sort of that 20-minute segment of the movie anyway. And the last common criticism, which is one that I actually think I agree with, is the whole sewer-dwelling, rat-eating Michael Myers is a little fucking weird, and I don't know what to think about that. I think that's my biggest problem with this movie. Now, let's talk a little pushback to these, right? So the ending of the trilogy thing. I do understand why that would upset people and annoy them, and because I'm not as big of a Halloween fan as some people, I'm more of a casual fan. There's certain ones like Halloween Ends and Halloween 3 for some reason, man, I fucking love them. And it's because they're different, because they aren't doing the same thing over and over. So I would say basically different is good. I understand the disappointment, but also the Halloween timelines are a fucking, mess. They're insane. And there are a lot of terrible fucking movies in the franchise. For a franchise that includes Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and Halloween Resurrection, people should be kissing this movie's ass. Now, these are just my opinions, I'm just being a little expressive with it, but again, I think different is good. We need to not just make the same Halloween movie over and over and over. So now let's switch gears and talk about some of the things I really enjoy about this movie, and why I think you should give it a second chance and apologize. Now, this is in no particular order. These are a lot of random thoughts, but the soundtrack. From the opening song to the Dead Kennedys during the bar scene, which, by the way, that bar scene, that's incredible as well. But I used to ride around my bike around the neighborhood listening to this Dead Kennedys CD on one of those ones that had the stabilizer built in. You push that button and it sort of reads a little bit ahead on the CD, so in case you get to skip, it'll just kind of it's supposed to, make your CDs not skip when you're riding a bicycle. You remember this shit, or you're walking around or whatever. It worked about half the time. For me, I really do enjoy the Corey Cunningham plot. Rowan Campbell in this movie is fucking incredible, to be honest. This performance has me drooling for Silent Night, Deadly Night. That's going to come out in a couple months here. He's about to play Billy in that movie. I'm just stoked. Now, I had very mixed feelings on this movie the first watch. As it was evolving, I was I don't know if I like this, you know what I mean? I'm sure that's how a lot of people felt. I'm sure a lot of people just felt pissed off. I like the blue text at the beginning, which kind of feels like a nod to Halloween 3, which again is sort of like, hey, we're doing something a little bit different here, and I enjoy that. The music that's often played throughout this is played by a radio DJ in this movie who is later killed in an excellent kill, one of my favorites from probably the franchise, to be honest. There's sort of a dark romance plot that's like built into this slasher movie, and it fucking rules, man. The scenes with them riding around on the bike, man, that stuff's cinematic as hell. It was like we're watching Drive, but it's Halloween instead. And as I was talking about the soundtrack before, I didn't mention Boy Harsher is also on the soundtrack. That is a really cool, like, goth band. One of their songs was also in Chucky. Fun fact, my band Black Orchestra back in the day opened up for them at a house show in Memphis, Tennessee. There was maybe 30 or 40 people there. They literally are opening for Nine Inch Nails on tours and shit now. And they're in stuff like fucking Chucky and Halloween Ends. Like, that's amazing. And it's a great song. When people criticize all three of these movies, one thing I don't understand is how they don't love the violence in these movies. As far as slashers go, this is fucking excellent. We're finally able to see and show all of this shit, when throughout the 80s, all of it was fucking censored all the time, you know? Another thing I like is the introduction of the Scarecrow mask for Corey. Brilliant, love it. Simple, effective. And in my opinion, it's iconic. I actually want to get a replica of one of those. I gotta rank the Halloween movies sometime because I probably like this better than at least half the Halloween movies out there. I mean, if I'm being honest. Another fun fact, Darcy from Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs makes an appearance at the radio station. And visually, come on, man. Visually, this movie rules. Look at this. Look at this. You're telling me this isn't art? You ever watch Halloween Ends, man? Okay, that's art. No, but in all seriousness, you know, I understand why hardcore Halloween fans, upon the anticipation and the build-up for this movie, would dislike it. I, however, have a little bit of a disconnect there. I was watching these three movies as they came out. I was stoked for them. I mean, I've seen all the Halloween movies. I own them all, except the Rob Zombie ones. But for me, it's like, besides the original classic, the odd ducklings in the franchise are the best to me. I think there was definitely too much hate going around, and with the internet the way it is, people get so divisive amongst films. I mean, take Ghostbusters 2016, for example, which I've also done a video like this for. If you just take it a little less seriously, you could enjoy that. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on Halloween Ends in the comments down below, and if you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Corey Cunningham forever.